Hello and welcome. I'm your karting assistant. Today we're going to compare two laps around the Haskovo Circuit, driven in the normal direction. One lap is driven by a gold-level driver and the other by a pro-level driver. The goal of this analysis is simple: to understand where a few tenths of a second are gained or lost, and more importantly, why. Let's start with a quick overview. The pro driver, shown in blue, sets a lap time of 51.08 seconds. The gold driver, shown in red, runs a 51.48. That's a 4/10 difference, which sounds significant. But as we'll see, the causes are quite subtle. Looking at the summary data, one thing stands out immediately. There is no meaningful difference in maximum, minimum, or average speed. This tells us two things. The karts are well matched, and the drivers are not using radically different lines or techniques. However, there is one important detail. The gold driver travels about 2 meters more over the full lap. We'll come back to why that matters later. The track is divided into 5 sectors. The largest time loss, around 0.25 seconds, occurs in Sector 4, covering turns 9 and 10. Smaller losses appear in Sector 2, at turns 5 and 6, in Sector 3, at turns 7 and 8. Even though Sector 1 shows only a small time difference, it's still worth studying. Approach speeds are nearly identical, with no meaningful difference in top speed into turns 1 through 4. What we do see are subtle differences in line choice and driving style. The pro driver tends to use slightly longer, smoother lines, loading the kart earlier and more progressively. The gold driver attacks the corners more aggressively, shortening the entry. Interestingly, in turn 4, the pro actually takes a slightly shorter line, scrubbing a bit of speed, but the reduced distance compensates for it. The result is effectively equal time through this section. The total delta here is around 0.04 of a second. It's measurable, but not where the major gains are coming from. Moving into turns 5 and 6, we're now looking at a gap of about 0.05 of a second. Both drivers approach with the same speed. The difference appears at turn in. The gold driver turns in slightly early, tightening the entry. The pro delays turn in just a bit and takes a longer, more stable arc. The apex points are similar, but the pro's line allows for better kart loading on entry. This is clearly visible in the speed trace. Because of the longer line and smoother weight transfer, the pro carries more speed into turn 5. By the exit of turn 6, speeds are nearly identical again, and the gold driver even accelerates slightly earlier. However, the straight that follows is too short to recover the time lost on entry. The result is about 0.5 gained, almost entirely due to entry quality, not exit speed. Here, a clear pattern begins to emerge. Once again, the largest speed difference appears on corner entry. The pro driver turns in slightly later, uses a wider approach, and carries 2 to 3 kilometers per hour more into the corner. Mid-corner and exit speeds remain very similar. In turn 8, the pro also uses the curb more effectively, allowing a shorter line with better exit flow. Looking at the time delta, all corners so far cost the gold driver roughly 0.15 seconds. The reason is consistent overslowing on entry, over-prioritizing slow in, fast out, leaving available grip unused. The pro driver's confidence on the brakes and at turn-in translates directly into lap time. Sector 4, the biggest time loss. Turn 9 is the slowest corner on the track and follows the heaviest braking zone. Despite very different driving styles, both drivers record nearly identical time here. The pro brakes later and carries more speed in. The gold brakes earlier, turns tighter, and gets on throttle sooner. Different approaches, same result. Turn 10, however, is where everything changes. This single corner accounts for approximately 0.25 seconds of lap time difference. Once again, it starts with entry speed. The pro lifts slightly earlier to shift weight forward, allowing the kart to rotate and take a tighter, more efficient line, likely also making better use of the curb. The gold attempts to carry speed but hesitates, resulting in a wider path and less effective use of grip. Looking at lateral G, the pro loads the kart earlier and more decisively. There are small steering corrections on exit, but they don't cost meaningful time. The gold driver is smoother and accelerates earlier, but the kart is simply slower through the corner, leaving grip unused. This is the single most important corner of the lap and where the gold driver loses the most time. The final sector is an interesting one. Both drivers record exactly the same sector time, 10.53 seconds. But there is one key difference, distance. The pro takes a shorter, more direct line onto the start-finish straight. The gold avoids steering to prevent scrubbing speed, but ends up driving farther. Even though the gold carries 1 to 2 kilometers per hour more speed, the extra distance means the time is never recovered. Over the full lap, the gold driver travels about 2 meters more. At an average lap speed of 57 kilometers per hour, those extra 2 meters cost approximately 0.13 seconds, simply from driving farther than necessary. So where does the lap time really come from? Not from bravery, not from earlier throttle, and not from higher top speed. The difference comes from cleaner corner entries, better kart loading, and minimizing unnecessary distance. Small decisions, repeated corner after corner, add up to 4/10. That was a lap analysis of the Haskovo circuit in the normal direction. If you found this useful, feel free to like, comment, or share. And one final tip, if you want a more detailed breakdown, personalized coaching advice, or even a full track walk, you can get in touch with us on Whop at whop.com/BTW Racing. Efficiency over drama. See you next lap.